The purpose of this video is just to address what you should do if you get your final loan modification documents and there are mistakes listed within the documents. If you're a subscriber to my page, welcome back, good to see you. If not, make sure you subscribe, like the videos. It's really the best way to help me kind of get this information out to other homeowners. So this video applies to the situation where you have applied for your loan modification, you've been approved, maybe you've gone through a TPP period, and then the bank gives you your final loan modification documents. You probably feel very excited getting that packet in the mail. You've probably been through a lot. And then a very common thing, maybe 30% of the time I see this happen, is you open your loan modification documents, you're like, woohoo, I'm excited. You open them and then there's a glaring error. Most commonly the errors come in the listing of the property address, sometimes in the spelling of your name, sometimes with the inclusion of someone who should not be included on the loan modification documents. Most commonly it's spelling errors, but every once in a while there will be someone who gets included on your loan modification document who won't be there. So what I'm just going to do is walk you through what you should do if there are mistakes on your loan modification documents. Number one, don't sign them. Don't get a final loan modification recorded if there are errors. You might be feeling in that moment like you just want the process to be over and who cares and it'll get sorted out later. But if you get a loan modification recorded with mistakes down the line when you go to sell the home or you go to refinance the home or do anything with the home, that can cause some pretty big errors. So you need to, number one, immediately notify the lender that there are mistakes, and then you need to be vigilant about following up with them while they redraft the documents. So what the bank will have to do is make a note in their system that they've made a mistake, and they'll literally have to go through the process of redrafting and regenerating the documents. So your very first thing to do is to call the bank and tell them exactly what the mistake is. When you're talking to the representative, tell the representative to write down in the notes what the mistake is and what it should be. So don't call and say you spelled my name wrong and fix it. You have to tell them exactly what to do. So you'd call and you'd say, my first name is Nadia, Nadia. In the loan modification documents, you spelled my name Nadia. It needs to be Nadia. And then sit on the phone with the phone representative until they write the correction and the mistake in the system. What that will do is that once it gets to the underwriting phase where they're actually fixing the documents, it will make it very easy on the representative to quickly make the correction. The worst thing you can do is notify them that there's a mistake, not tell them what the mistake is, because then you run the risk of them making a different mistake, which does happen. You don't want to get caught in multiple rounds of these documents. So if there's a mistake, don't panic. Call the lender immediately and have them put into their system the mistake and the correction. Then your job becomes every 48 hours you call them and you ask them the same question, which is, are my new draft of my final modification documents being worked on? And you want to be asking them what date were they worked on, who's working on them, and when can I expect them? And what you're doing with these calls every 48 hours is you're making sure that nothing falls through the cracks and you're making sure that they're continuing to work on the documents. Now, most importantly, you should continue to make a TPP payment during the time that these documents are being redrafted. So you likely were on a trial payment plan where you had a payment every month. Then you got to this point where they were going to give you your final mod documents with your new payment amount and things should have just been wrapped up. But if you have to have your documents redrafted, it might take another 30 to 45 days to get the new documents back to you. Once they come back to you, you have to get them signed and notarized and you have to send them back. So this process takes like 30 to 45 days. If you have another month come due and you don't make a trial payment, that can cause problems down the line because the bank will see a payment gap, which can make things a little bit dicey. So I always advise that if you are in the process of having to have your final documents redrafted, do yourself a favor and every month make a payment at your trial payment amount and then call the bank just like you were doing on your TPP or when you were preliminarily approved and confirm that your payment was applied, confirm that it was received, and confirm that it was put toward your balance on your account. Do that every month while the documents are being redrafted, and then that way you'll have a current payment history when you finally can get the documents back. So long story short, if you get your final documents, review them to see what mistakes are there. There's another video video about reviewing your final loan mod docs, watch that. But if you see a glaring error with your name or your property address, or if they've shoved like a contributor or a renter onto your loan modification documents that shouldn't be there, don't just deal with it. Call back, tell them what the correction is, call every 48 hours until you receive new documents, and make sure you don't miss any payments that you should be making as new months roll around. Good luck.